jump into the Anglers Break Down Your Water, and we're going with Lake Mead, brought to us by Corey Williams. And you can tell this part of the country I do not frequent. Look at this. Look how barren everything is.
I know. I've been there, man. I know what that looks like. That angler mapping deal is really cool there. I was impressed. That's the first time yesterday that I really looked at it good when you and I were on here looking. And man, I got to use that myself because it's real impressive how you can zoom in and see all this stuff so easily and be able to log stuff and keep up with, you know, waypoints and trails and fishing locations and all the stuff that it logs for you. But I'm looking at that map now. So what are we trying to do here by looking at this map?
Basically, we want to break down the fishery for Corey Williams and all the other viewers and just kind of show them some things to look for. It doesn't necessarily have to be where you caught big ones in the past. A lot of times we try to pick lakes that neither I nor you have ever been to, or the guests. But in this situation, I said, man, that's a pretty wild looking fishery compared to everything I've ever fished.
Yeah, I've only been there one time maybe. I think I fished there one time, and I believe in 1999. I still remember it because it was one of the roughest water days I've ever fished in that day, and I still remember that. So I think it was 99 because I was chasing Van Dam for Angler of the Year points. He was leading, and I was in second, and that was getting down to it was like just a couple tournaments left, and he continued to lead after that. He did good there, and I did. I don't remember what I did. I think I might have got a check, but I didn't do so great. And I stayed right in contention. Ended up third or fifth for the year, and he ended up winning Angler of the Year that year, I think.
Well, we're right here at the 1st of May, last day of April. So what would you think out there right now? What would be the first thing you go and look for them? Is a spawn over with, you think, out there? Or?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question about the climate this time of year. I've never heard many people talk about the end of April out there, if it's hot or if it's still cold or if it's like it is here. But I kind of bet you, I kind of think it would be spawning, because those lakes like me that are so clear, it'll be fish spawning 3 months in a row out there, probably just different waves of fish. So I think, but what I remember from being out there years ago, the wind blows really bad. So that's one thing you could learn by using that map on the angler map here is to really research your wind directions when you go out there to fish, and you want to make sure that you're in those protected pockets out of the wind and get back into them little hollows that run way back. You see a lot of them on that lake, and you can kind of get somewhere to block that wind. And it's always good to have a little bit of breeze, a little ripple on the water to break that surface up in that clarity so you can still catch them. But if you're bedding, I love sight fishing and bed fishing, and I know that's Yamamoto Cinco land out there, which about everywhere we go in the spring is Cinco land. But that is a great place to throw that wacky Cinco in that clear water, and probably on some light line, probably on a Brent Ayler drop shot Tatula Elite rod, and switch that thing slow and easy down there, and 10, 8-10 foot deep, and you probably catch some fish.
One thing I noticed, and it may be complete bogusness, but this is what's cool about looking at satellite imagery. I mean, we've all done this with Google and stuff before, but now we have the capability to drop waypoints inside the thing we're at. But looking at some of these ditches and drains and stuff, they don't look like they have as much vegetation, which to me indicates they probably don't have as much water running down them regularly, where these do. So maybe like little runoffs, if there ever is a little trickle coming in, it's going to be in some of these where there's more of this greenery.
Mm-hmm.
That might be something to look at that you can kind of pick up on from here. Like I said,
yeah, that looks good.
Protected pockets. It doesn't seem to be a lot of cover on Mead. I've never been there, but
yeah, that's the only. I remember that's the first place and probably the only place I've ever fished cactus plants in the water. They were like cactus plants underwater, and I actually caught fish around them. And I don't know what a bass would want to get around a cactus for, and poke itself like that. But they weren't scared of the hooks there because they're used to getting poked, I guess. So I caught them around cactus plants in those pockets a little bit way back in those little runoffs. And good thing if you ever get, I know a little thing like you say on the map there, you can run a pattern on those clear water lakes like that by going back in those little hollows. I'm pointing at it like you can see me. I know you can't see me pointing on the map, but the back of those hollows and drains, and when you got runoff coming in from rain like you just mentioned a while ago, I know like that's a big deal on all the central, Ozark lakes, and even Smith Lake here in Alabama. You get in these places where that water runs in and that stained rainwater hits that clear water, and those bass always pull in there and feed. So that's always a good pattern, and you can find that pattern on this ANGLR map a lot easier. And when you match that up with your Lowrance, and you can even do on the Lowrance live system, like we've got in our boats now, you can use that to pull that ANGLR map up on a split screen, like on my 16 HDS 16 live Lowrance. I can have 6 screens up at one time, 6 windows, but I can take and watch, you can watch YouTube videos, you can watch live, MLF live, or anything you want to watch. So you can pull that ANGLR map up, put it side by side with your C map on your Lowrance, and have the kind of like the website of the real time type map mixed with the contours of a C map. And I think that'd be an amazing combination to be able to find stuff faster and do the research quicker.
Well, it's really cool too. Like for a guy that's got a bunch of tournaments, all over the country, whatever, you can go in the off season with the app and build out these maps and stuff, and then you can actually export from the ANGLR app your waypoints into your Lowrance too, and they'll actually come. You can move them over into the Lowrance, so and vice versa if you want to bring them out of the Lowrance into the ANGLR app. So it gives you a lot of opportunity to do the research and the background work before the events. But let's move around a little bit on. So what do you? I saw where Matthew. Let's see where he is here. Matthew Anderson said Lake Mead actually has a lot of sunken fish structure. Did you see much of that back? I mean, it was 20 years ago when you were there. So
yeah, it was. I don't remember much of that, because I remember back 20 years ago our electronics were still dinosaurs back then, so we didn't have. I don't even know if we had the GPS on the boat then. I don't even know. So that's so long ago. I can't remember if we had to. It had to have been a GPS. It was just probably like the old, just a straight GPS without the mapping system, I imagine. So we didn't have a lot of. And I wasn't real old. I didn't know how to read maps real good back then. I just went fishing and and winged it and thought I fished everything that looked good. And I didn't do good enough. But I remember the wind blew so bad I threw a spinnerbait, and I still remember. I think I caught most of my fish on a hog collar spinnerbait.
were you fishing that around those cactuses too, or
yeah, back in them long hollows, I caught them because them pockets would just wind and wind back and go back into the mountain, into the hills, and you just throw that spinnerbait parallel down those banks and slow roll it, and you'd roll over and bump into those spiny cactus bushes, and you'd catch a fish when you'd come by them a lot, and I still don't remember why, and that's 20 years ago. I don't know why that even stands out in my mind, but I still remember that.
I had been on a cactus bite. I'm pretty sure a cactus.
Yeah, it might have been unusual. It may not even normally work. It might have just been what worked that day. You never know.